If you're trying to sell your Bay Ridge home, but you're finding it's taking a lot longer than you'd like, here are 5 reasons why your property might still be on the market. Hey there, my name is Chichi Aguoji. I'm a New York-based realtor with a focus on helping seniors and retirees sell their homes and find the best locations to retire. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through 5 reasons why your Bay Ridge property might be taking longer to sell than you'd like. So without further ado, let's get into it. Number 1, timing. Now, I am a firm believer that there is always a market. There's always a real estate market. No matter what's going on with the economy, no matter what's going on with interest rates, you are always going to have a group of people who are interested in buying and a group of people who are interested in selling. That is a market. However, getting the best price for you depends on timing. And by timing, I mean whether it's a buyer's market or a seller's market in your specific neighborhood. So how can you determine whether or not it's the right time to sell? Since we're speaking about sellers and from the seller's point of view, well, you have to be able to determine whether your neighborhood is in the middle of a seller's market or not. And you do that using something called the real estate absorption rate. And I'll walk you through the calculation of this rate, but the way it works is when the real estate absorption rate for your particular neighborhood, for your particular area is 20% or higher, it's said that you are in the middle of a seller's market. However, when the real estate absorption rate is 15% or lower, it's said that it's a buyer's market. So the real estate absorption rate is calculated utilizing data that is publicly available. So you can go on Zillow and you can grab this. The top, called the numerator, is just going to be number of properties which sold within the last 30 days. The denominator, the bottom part of the equation, is going to be the number of total active listings currently on the market. So when I calculated this for the month of April, I saw that in the neighborhood of Bay Ridge in mid-April, there were 5 properties that sold within the last 30 days, and there were currently somewhere about 90 properties currently on the market, making for a real estate absorption rate of about 5.5%, which clearly indicates that Bay Ridge is in the middle of a buyer's market and not a seller's market. So as a seller, when you are selling your property in the middle of a buyer's market, there's some things that you have to consider and some things you have to do a little differently in order to ensure that your property stands out. It's just important to keep in mind that properties will definitely take longer to get off the market, considering that there's a higher supply and not as much demand when you're in the middle of a buyer's market. Number 2, lack of or poor media. Now, it's important that I make the distinction that being in a buyer's market doesn't mean you cannot sell your property, right? The real estate absorption rate only lets us know which direction the scales are tipped towards, whether they're tipped towards the sellers or they're tipped towards the buyers. So just because they're tipped towards the buyers doesn't mean you can't sell your home. It just says that the power is in the favor of the buyers. That said, if you do decide to put your property on the market when you're in the middle of a buyer's market, you want to make sure that any media that you're using to represent your property puts your property in the best light whatsoever. This includes photos of your property as well as video of your property. Now, when it comes to photos of your property, there are some absolute no-nos if you are in the middle of a buyer's market. The first absolute no-no is allowing your agent to take cell phone photos of your property. Remember, if you're in the middle of a buyer's market, anything that you can do to set yourself and your property apart from the rest is really going to help you. And so if you're just going to allow your agent to take cell phone photos, that's not setting yourself apart in any way, shape, or form. The second no-no, which is actually worse than the first no-no when it comes to photos, is allowing your agent to only have one photo of your property online. At the very least, you want to make sure not only are you taking professional photos from a real estate photographer, but you have at least 25 to 30 photos that allows buyers to really get a sense of what they are buying and to determine their level of interest in order to schedule a viewing or in order to place offers on your property. Only allowing one photo of your property is going to frustrate a majority of buyers and think that you have something to hide that you don't want them to see. So the two no-nos again, number one, allowing your agent to take cell phone pictures, and the second is allowing your agent to only have one photo of your property. Now, another potential media that can be used for marketing is video, which I mentioned earlier in this section. Not every agent will make a video or have a video made of your property, but it can really help to set you apart, especially if we're in the middle of a buyer's market like we are in Bay Ridge. Now, when I say video, I'm not talking about what most agents will do when they're piecing together various photos in the form of a slideshow. And so because it's a moving photo gallery, they present it as a video. That is not a video. So I'm gonna give you an example of a video. I'm gonna show you some footage of one of my listings. Video should be exciting. It should really captivate the viewer. It should really draw the buyer in. You should have drone footage at the very least. You should have, wide angle footage from a professional videographer that's really allowing the buyer or would-be buyer to see the house from all different angles and to really be drawn into the footage. Because as you can imagine, more and more individuals are taking in information through video nowadays. I mean, you're watching me right now on video. So again, video definitely trumps all. It trumps photos. And it's just something additional that you can do and encourage your agent to do in order to set your listing apart and set your property apart, especially if you're in the middle of a buyer's market. The next item is a property description. Whether it's missing or it doesn't fully describe the property, it's really up to the agent to use this space as an opportunity to, in text form, really call out any of the unique features or the unique aspects, attributes about the property. This can be done through conversation with you because you're someone who would know your home the best, so you would know if there were any recent renovations. You would know what are some of the great things about your property that would help to sell it to a would-be buyer. All of these things need to be captured in text form and really presented in the property description to allow whatever would-be buyer is interested in your property to have additional information about your home in order for them to schedule a viewing, in order for them to put offers out on it. Now, another thing to keep in mind is sidetracking, just gonna go on a tangent for a little bit. So I am a former teacher, and as a teacher, one of the things that you learn is that different students take in information in different ways. You have different, what we call learning styles. You have your auditory learning styles, people who take in information by hearing it. You have your visual learning styles, people who need to see it, whether it's in text form or it's in an image form, but they need to see it in order for them to understand what you're saying. And then you have your kinesthetic learning styles, right? People who actually need to touch it, or there needs to be some kind of a movement associated with them understanding or connecting with what you're saying. And so I just think it's important for you to understand as a seller that when your realtor is taking advantage of photos and they're taking advantage of video and they're writing an amazing property description, they're really catering to these different learning styles of buyers, right? Just because we're no longer in the classroom doesn't mean we take in information in a different way. You'll have buyers that take in information kinesthetically, or take in information in an auditory form, or take in information in a visual form. So it's up to you and your realtor to really work together to ensure that you are casting a wide enough net to allow for as many buyers to really tap into your property and your listing, to connect with it in order for them to want to schedule a viewing and to want to place an offer on your property. Hey, if you're enjoying the video so far, feel free to like, feel free to subscribe, and let's keep going. Number 4, it's difficult to show. Now, if you have a lot of restrictions around showing times or showing availability, it's going to make it really difficult for a buyer or potential buyer to see your property, which is going to make it really difficult to sell your property. You need to show your property in order to sell your property. There's really no way around it unless someone is going to purchase it sight unseen. But in the middle of a buyer's market, you want to be as flexible as possible. At the very least, you want to make sure you have weekday evening showing times as well as weekend showing times, whether it's on Saturday or on Sunday. So if you have too many restrictions around showing your property, that's just going to prolong the sale process for your property. So the fifth reason why your property might not be selling might have to do with price. Now, there are two issues related to price that I want to discuss. The first you may not have heard before. The second you probably have already heard if your property is still on the market. So the first issue has to do with not leveraging the rule of 9 when it comes to pricing. Now, what is the rule of 9 when it comes to pricing? I want you just to take a moment and think about the last time you went to the supermarket. Any supermarket, small supermarket, large wholesale supermarket, BJ's, Costco's, wherever. And think about the prices that you tend to see for items that are being sold. Do they tend to have a 9 at the end? Do you tend to see prices that are listed as maybe $4.99, $5.29, $6.49, $7.39? Do you notice the pattern that's kind of stringing all of these different prices together? That there's a 9 usually at the end, or it's either the last digit or the last 2 digits of these prices. This is actually not by accident. This is very much by design because of something called the rule of 9. The idea being that when a buyer sees 9s at the end of a price point, they tend to think that psychologically they're getting more value. So for instance, if you have one property that's listed for $1 million and another property that's listed for $999,999, property B, or the second property, will convey to the buyer that there's more value there, even though it's only $1 shy of the price of the first property. So that's the rule of 9. So think about your list price, the price that you and your agent agreed to put your property on the market for. Are you leveraging the rule of 9? Is there a 9 somewhere towards the end of that number to communicate or convey to the buyer that there is additional value here? Remember, you're doing it psychologically. The second issue with respect to price, and I'm just gonna come out and say it, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, is that it's priced too high. I know most homeowners and most sellers don't like to hear this. They don't want to hear that they need to come down on price. They don't want to give up the price reductions. And that's understandable. I mean, this is your home. You want to protect your equity as much as possible. But remember, a market consists of two parties. A market is not one-sided. A market consists of both buyers and sellers. And if your price point is above that of what a buyer is willing to pay for it, you are in a market all by yourself. That's not a market. And ultimately, my experience has shown me that it's all going to come down to your motivation to sell. If you are a seller who is highly motivated about selling your property and getting your equity out, or highly motivated about getting to your next destination, then you will be willing to come down to a price that the market is willing to bear for your property, that a buyer is willing to pay for your property. Whatever that number is, that sweet spot, that is the number at which your property will ultimately sell. All right, I did not mention that there is a bonus, but there is a bonus reason. So if you stuck around this long in the video, thank you so much. And for that, you're gonna get a bonus reason. So the bonus reason why your property might still be on the market and might be slow to sell is because your agent did not develop a targeted marketing strategy in order to sell your property. This is something that only elite agents will do. Not every agent will do this, right? Only elite agents. And what does this mean? Essentially, what this means is that your agent will develop a profile for the ideal buyer of your home, or the set of ideal buyers for your home. And now once they have this ideal buyer, what they'll do is develop targeted marketing strategies to be able to place your home or advertisements for your home, marketing materials for your home right in front of these ideal buyers. Now, so for Bay Ridge, you might have two different sets of ideal buyers, right? One set might be a young family who's growing, parents want to be able to get to the city quickly, still want to be able to have access to great school systems. They want a residential area that's walkable with a good amount of parks. That might be one profile that your agent develops for the ideal client or the ideal buyer for your home. And so if that's the profile they develop, they'll use their marketing materials to get your home in front of individuals that fit that demographic, whether it's leveraging ads on YouTube or ads on Google or ads on LinkedIn, ads on Facebook. They'll do whatever needs to be done in order to put your property in front of that ideal buyer. Now, if you're someone who's struggling to sell your Bay Ridge home, you would like to chat with me to see what I can do and how I can assist you with the sale, feel free to reach out to me. I would be happy to chat with you to see if it's a good fit and we could work together. All right, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something new, and I hope to see you in the next one.